All right, welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast with Bailey Palicki and Jacob Alberta. We aim to offer fresh takes and analysis on all our beloved Minnesota sports teams, but we will also get into some national sports content as well. You can find all our videos here on our channel at North Star Takes Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at North Star Takes and on Instagram at North Star Takes Podcast as well. Continuing our series from last week of the Minnesota Vikings positional breakdowns, we move from quarterback to the running back position this week, Alberta. And I think the Minnesota Vikings have one of the best running backs in the league.
Absolutely. I would say he's the best. As far as complete back goes,
all right.
I'm giving the title to Dalvin right now just because I think he has a great all-around game. Derrick Henry came to the press last year and he said, oh, yeah, Dalvin, best back in the league.
That is true. He did say that.
So,
and then he ran for 2,000 yards.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So it was just good juju. It was good karma for Derrick Henry. So obviously Derrick Henry, there's an obvious case to be made, and he could very well be. But I like Dalvin just a little bit more just because of what he brings to your offense as far as the three-faceted back from running the ball. Obviously, he's a very good zone runner. And then you got catching passes out of the backfield for Kirk, bailing him out when he wants to be captain check down.
True.
And a nice little dig at Kirk there. But
of course.
Obviously, Dalvin can protect Kirk a little bit too with honestly great protection back there in the backfield. So he does it all for you, and he's just a smart player. He's a leader, and I can't say he's not the best back in the league right now. I know people can make their arguments for McCaffrey, for Barkley, like I said, Henry, but give me Dalvin. I know I'm a homer, but why not?
Yeah, and everyone's problem with Dalvin Cook is his health-related issues. Well, what have McCaffrey and Saquon been doing the last couple of years? They've been riding the pines. So
yeah, exactly.
King Henry, more like King Dalvin, baby. I mean, I love Dalvin Cook. He's an all-around back, like you said. Fantasy-wise, just a fantastic running back to have. Yeah, he might miss a game here or there, but who doesn't at the running back position anymore besides Derrick Henry? Mm-hmm. But, Derrick Henry's impact is just in the running game. Like, he ran for 2,000 yards, but he catches some passes, but
they don't throw him the ball that much.
No, they don't. And it's not like Adrian Peterson was back in the day where it was awkward catching the ball.
Yeah.
Henry looks okay catching the ball, but, yeah, they just don't really throw him the ball that often. So, yeah, I love Dalvin Cook, and he's one of the true leaders on this Vikings team, too, because we've kind of talked about before how that's kind of where Kirk lacks as the quarterback of this team.
It's those intangibles.
But that's kind of where Dalvin Cook makes up for it as well. He kind of picks up in that area as well. So the Vikings have had good fortunes going from Adrian Peterson to Dalvin Cook. So it's exciting to see where the rest of his career is going to take him. I hope he's not one of these backs that kind of fizzles out within the next couple of years with injuries and stuff piling up. That kind of happened to Le'Veon Bell. He had some injuries, and then he did the little holdout thing, and then he just came back and was never the same after that. Granted, he went to the Jets, who just ruined everybody. So, but I just kind of hope that same thing doesn't happen with Dalvin. The holdout obviously won't happen, at least for a few years, but I just don't want injuries to pile up and kind of ruin his career. So
yeah, same thing kind of happened to Todd Gurley too. I mentioned these running backs kind of just fizzle out, and it's happening this day and age where guys just get running in the ground and they're no good anymore. And that's pretty sad. But I really hope it doesn't happen to Dalvin anytime soon because he's only 25 still, which is kind of incredible, and he feels like he's been in the league forever.
Right.
But I also think he's got more tread on the tires just because he's had some injury concerns, and he's had an injury history, especially early on in his career where he missed some games, but that also was less touches and less workload on his body at that point in time. So you feel like he's still got plenty more left in the tank. And obviously he only had like 312 carries last year, which might sound like a lot, and I think it was a career high for him. But the thing is that the best running backs like McCaffrey, for instance, 2 years ago before he had injury-plagued season last year, he had like 400 touches. So that can make a huge difference. That's like a 75%. Or that's 75% of McCaffrey's workload. So, you still feel like he's fresh, still feel like he's got plenty to give you, especially in a big season here when basically everybody important has their job on the line. So I think they'll definitely lean on him again this year, and hopefully he can stay healthy, play 14, 15 games, and that's all you really can ask for. Especially even if it's a 17-game season, I'll still take 14, 15. But and the impact he makes on this team, like you said, with the intangibles, but even just sheerly playing football. I mean,
just being on the field.
Yeah, look how much different Kirk is with and without Dalvin on the field. It's night and day. And I feel like people just ignore that sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
Especially all the Kirk stands. Like, come on, he wouldn't be nearly this good without Dalvin.
Dalvin sets up the play action, which is what Kirk thrives off of. Hitting the deep crossers to Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. Yeah. That's the other thing, too. This roster is good enough that we shouldn't have to ride Dalvin Cook into the ground.
No.
That's what people have kind of talked about the last couple of years. It's like, well, are they giving Dalvin too much of a workload? I don't think so, because I think he trains well and he treats his body well. And, he gets nicked up, but what running back doesn't? So they shouldn't be riding him into the ground when they have skill position players like Jefferson and Thielen and Irv Smith and even Tyler Conklin, and who knows, one of these young wide receivers might emerge as well.
Let's hope.
And then we'll get into his backup as well here, Alexander Mattison, who we think is a more than capable backup, and they just really haven't given him much of an opportunity.
No, I feel like they could definitely get him more in the mix because I think he's a very talented back himself. Third-round pick a couple years ago now. He's been in the league 2 years. But I think he's got a similar stature to Dalvin, and he plays somewhat similar to Dalvin. But I just say he's got a little less speed, like breakaway speed. But I'd also say he's more of a bruiser. Like he can run you over, initiate contact, and I really love that. It's a nice change of pace to have. But I think he's probably a guy that you can lean on a lot more too, especially mixing him in. Maybe that keeps Dalvin more fresh too.
Exactly.
And obviously, then you're creating more problems for the defense as far as just being so versatile, having so many different guys that contribute to your offensive success. So I think that's another guy worth talking about. I mean, what do you think Mattison provides most to this offense?
Yeah, I think he, like you said, he's just kind of a bruiser. It's a little bit of a change of pace. He'll come in and he'll get the tough up the middle yards. Dalvin kind of likes to bounce it to the outside, make a one cut, find a hole. Madison's not so much like that.
He's got all those leaps, though.
He does. He does do the hurdles, and those are very entertaining.
Yes.
A lot of people want to give him grief after he didn't pick up the 1 yard against Seattle last year, and yeah, that wasn't a great play. But also, the offensive line was getting collapsed on, of course, and it shouldn't have come down to that anyways. The Vikings, I think, didn't they throw on like 3rd and 1 the play before that or something?
I think so.
There was something goofy there, so it shouldn't have come down to that anyways. And so I think he's a good change of pace back. I think he needs more opportunity, honestly. I mean, I think he's capable of honestly being a starting running back in this league if he was given the opportunity, but he's not. He's never going to get that opportunity here, obviously, and I'd love to keep him around for as long as we can, but I'm sure if there's a team looking for a starting running back, they'll probably pay him to be their starting running back, and we'd lose him, within the next year or so.
Exactly. It's like a Jack McKinnon thing, honestly. McKinnon was good here, and he provided a good half of a duo of running backs from that big 2017 season, him and Latavius, but obviously then Dalvin came back after injury, and he just wasn't going to get the touches that he wanted, so he left on a free agent deal, and that's what I kind of see happening with Mattison down the road, but not right now, still on the rookie deal. And still a lot he could provide to the Vikings. So
absolutely,
I'm really interested to see if we mix in Mattison more this year than we did last year. But
yeah, I think they should. I think that's what good football teams do. They use all their skill position players. They try to keep everybody fresh. And I think that's kind of how the Chiefs handle it too. They got obviously Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but they use a couple running backs. They use their deeper receivers on the depth chart. So I think that's smart. For keeping everybody fresh, that keeps people healthy, and then obviously everybody's playing every game. So
totally agree.
So behind those two, we lost Mike Boone. I believe he went to the Denver Broncos this year. So we have Amir Abdullah returning, who's been our 3rd string running back for the last couple of years. Kind of been our kick returner, special teamer kind of guy. Then we have our 4th round pick, Kenny Nwangu from Iowa State.
This is a fun project.
Yes, he can return kicks. He's very fast and shifty. He never got the starting opportunity at Iowa State, but a lot of people seem to think this guy's got a lot of potential, and I think it'd be fun to see him be our RB3 right away.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's got that top line speed, especially contribute on special teams at least, where he can probably take over Abdullah's kick return duties, because I think he runs like a 4.3 40. He's one of the quickest guys in this year's draft class. So, I mean, I think that's really eye-popping stat. I know everybody likes to talk about 40 times around draft season. He was up towards the top, so it's cool. The Vikings got a guy like this, and I'm kind of interested to see what kind of untapped potential he has. Because like I said, he didn't get a ton of looks in the backfield at Iowa State because of guys like Breece Hall recently, and then David Montgomery dated back a couple years ago. So maybe he's still got more left than people even realized. It just was hiding behind some other talent there. So I'm kind of interested to see what Clint Kubiak can bring out of him, or at least just our special teams unit. So.
I'd say this guy is honestly a lock to make the team, because there's been videos circulating of him getting some run with the first team in OTAs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he was out there running through the first team offensive line, going against the first team defense. So
all right. I think about that.
Yeah, I think if Mattison doesn't end up turning out, or maybe they could end up trading him for something, I don't know.
Kenny.
But I think Kenny Nwangu, he could be a lot like Jerick McKinnon. That's kind of how I'm feeling about him. I think he's got a lot of potential, and he'd be a different change of pace from Dalvin Cook, because he'd be strictly just a speed guy, probably a pass-catching back. But, yeah, I think the Vikings they always do such a good job of just having a good running back group. And, you have C.J. Ham, obviously, as the fullback, who's one of the better fullbacks in the NFL, and he's been a Pro Bowler. So, Yeah, they just do a great job with the position. And granted, the running back position itself in the NFL isn't as prevalent anymore. It's more of a passing league, but it definitely helps to have good running backs still.
Yes, for sure. I know. I'm glad we always have a deep running back room to lean on, especially when running back, it's a position that obviously takes a lot of hits, and you're getting a lot of guys to get hurt just because of the violent nature of the position. So it's good to have a deep room they can count on as the season goes on, because honestly, you never know when a guy's going to go down when you need next man up, and he has to be good and contribute because guys like Kirk depend on it. So.
Yeah, do you see Dalvin Cook possibly being in the MVP conversation this year? I know you've talked about maybe Kirk being in that conversation, but do you think it's possible Dalvin is too?
Absolutely. I think he gets a lot of looks in this offense, so I don't see why not. If we're going to have a successful season, it's probably going to hinge a lot on Dalvin's success. So
yes.
I'm betting on us having a good year. So, I mean, Dalvin's definitely in that conversation too. I mean, why not just throw Jefferson in there, make the whole trio? But
yeah, I'd love to have a couple guys in there for sure with Kirk and Dalvin, and yeah, who knows? Maybe Dalvin's usually in it. The last couple of years, he's been in the MVP conversation the first half of the season, and then he kind of wears down a little bit, doesn't have as many explosive games, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Absolutely, yes.
So that will do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to like our videos and stay tuned for more content by subscribing to our channel, and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram as well, and drop a comment below about how you feel about the Vikings running back situation going into this season as well.